In Photoshop CS5, the lens correction filter was kind of changed both in some of the things it does and also its location. It used to be that it was hidden away under the distort set of filters. Now it's right in this main area, and if we open it up, these are the options it gives me. I'll turn the preview off. It used to look like this. Now it has these auto corrections where it's a very smart filter in that it looks at the metadata and says, okay, this photo was taken with a Nikon D300 with this lens, with the camera set to this mode. So it has all that information, and then you can have it do automatic correction for geometric distortion, chromatic aberration, vignette, and so on. If I turn the preview on and off, you can see here's the result with the corrections made. Here's the original, and you can see it's dealt with a little bit of vignetting in the corner, and there's obviously a bit of distortion geometrically. So that's what this filter does. So I wanted to show you that first, so that we can talk now about this automated command, which is lens correction. So here's what this dialog box does. It says I have a series of images, and to each one of them I want to apply this type of lens correction. So I could add the open files, or I could browse to particular files. So I know I have a whole series of images in here, and I'll just pick some of them just for the sake of argument. Add those to say, okay, these are the files that I want you to apply to. I want you to turn them into PSDs, and I'm going to create a folder. Let's just do it on the desktop. Choose that. So it's going to say save them as PSD in this, do that automatic lens correction, and I want you to apply these options, and then with the edge I can either have it transparent or kind of extend the edge a little bit. I think I'll go just with transparency in this case. Then I click OK, and it's going to go through and start working on those images. Now keep in mind these are raw files, but it's opening each raw file and doing that correction, and then it's going to save the results in that folder that I created. So we'll let it work on these images here. It does take a few seconds for each image because it's opening the raw file and then applying that lens correction adjustment to it automatically. So it's working through the last few images here. And let's go and take a look at the results. We'll go back to the desktop, find that folder I created. Here it is, and here's all my PSD files with the lens correction applied. So that's a pretty interesting example of a really nice automated command where it's doing it to multiple images. There's only one thing that I would suggest to you, and that's, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but let me go back to this lens correction dialog box. The only potential problem with this is when you go to browse through the files, it's a little harder to kind of go through and say, but I only want this one, this one. As soon as you click more than one file, you can't see the preview anymore. So unless you already know the files, this can be a little bit of a problem. Luckily there is a solution for that, and we'll talk about that later on when we talk about using the same lens correction batch kind of mode, but through Bridge, where now you can do things visually. Having said that, if you know you have a whole folder full of images that you want to adjust this across the board, you can run it and leave it, walk away, go have some coffee, have a bit of lunch. When you come back, you'll have a whole folder full of images that have had this lens correction applied automatically.